All right, so today we're diving into something called the DaVinciA A framework. Now, what is that? Well, you can think of it as a building code for artificial intelligence. It's all about bringing some much needed order and accountability to a world that sometimes feels like it's being built without a blueprint. So let's break down what that actually means. Section 1, AI's Wild West problem. Okay, so before we can really appreciate a solution, we gotta understand the problem, right? And when it comes to AI right now, well, it kind of feels like the Wild West. It's this incredibly powerful, exciting frontier, but it's often missing the basic rules and structures that keep things safe. And that becomes a really big deal when these AI systems are making critical decisions that impact all of us. So that brings us to, the million-dollar question. When an AI screws up, and I mean a critical mistake in something like medicine or finance, who's on the hook? Is it the programmer who wrote the code, the person using it, the company that rolled it out? The problem is, right now, nobody really knows for sure. And that lack of clarity is, well, it's pretty dangerous.
And this whole mess really boils down to a few key problems. A lot of these AI systems are what we call a black box, meaning the logic is so complex, even the creators can't always tell you exactly why it made a certain choice. Then you've got these AI agents that can pass tasks off to other agents, and suddenly trying to figure out who's accountable is like trying to untangle a giant knot of wires. It's almost impossible. And all of this happens because, too often, governance, the rules and oversight, is just an afterthought, something tacked on at the end instead of being built in from the start.
Section 2, a building code for AI. So this is exactly where that whole building code idea comes into play. Instead of trying to bolt on safety features after the AI is already built, which, let's be real, rarely works well, the DaVinciA A framework is all about having a plan from day one. It's a blueprint to make sure every single AI system is built on a foundation that is solid, safe, and most importantly, governable. Okay, so the official fancy term is a reference governance framework. But let's focus on that keyword framework. This is super important. We're not talking about a piece of software you install or some new government regulation. Think of it more like a universal blueprint. It's a set of guiding principles you can use to design and run any AI system, no matter the tech, in a responsible way. So just to be crystal clear on what this thing is and what it isn't, what DaVinciA is a structured, tech-neutral approach. It's a way to actually put rules into practice. What it's not a software platform, it's not a group that hands out certifications, and it's definitely not a replacement for actual laws or big regulations like the EU AI Act. The best way to think about it is, it's the playbook an organization uses to make sure it can actually follow all those rules and standards. Section 3, the 3 layers of governance. All right, so what does this building code actually look like when you break it down? It's all built on 3 core layers of governance. And to stick with our analogy, you can think of these as the foundation, the walls, and the roof of any well-built AI system. First up, we have layer 1, identity and intent. This is the foundation, and just like building a house, you have to get this right before you do anything else. This layer defines what the system is, what it's supposed to do, and, this is key, what it's explicitly not allowed to do. This is how you prevent something called scope creep, where an AI designed for one thing starts wandering off and doing other stuff it was never approved for. Okay, with the foundation laid, we move up to layer 2, knowledge and logic. Now, this layer is all about the internal wiring of the AI. Basically, how it thinks. This is where you set the rules for what information it can use, what kinds of reasoning it can apply, and which tools it's allowed to access. By doing this, you start to crack open that black box we talked about and turn it into something with clear, predictable logic. And finally, we put the roof on our structure with layer 3, supervision and audit. This is where accountability really gets locked in. This layer sets the specific rules for when a human has to step in and take a look. It also makes sure that every single action, every decision, every piece of data the AI touches is logged. What you get is an unbreakable audit trail, a complete chain of evidence for everything the system does. So when you look at how these 3 layers fit together, you can see they're not just separate ideas, they form a single strong structure. You've got identity and intent as the solid foundation. The knowledge and logic builds the actual functional walls. And finally, supervision and audit acts as the protective roof over the whole thing. It's all interconnected and it's all designed to give us control and, most importantly, clarity. So really, you can boil this whole architecture down to a really simple but powerful process. Step 1, define the AI's purpose and its limits. Step 2, control its brain, the knowledge and logic it can use. And step 3, keep a human in the loop and record everything. That's it. That's the core loop that makes building responsible AI actually possible. Section 4, the AI safety inspection. Okay, but just because you've built the house doesn't mean you're done, right? You need inspections. It's the exact same idea here. Building the AI is just the first part. You have to constantly check it for safety and quality, and not just once, but for its entire lifespan. This whole process is what the framework calls the validation lifecycle. And this is so important. This process doesn't just stop once the AI goes live. It's a continuous loop. It starts with setting it up and testing it, sure, but then it moves into ongoing, constant monitoring. Why? To watch out for something called drift. That's when the AI starts to slowly change its behavior as it learns from new data in the real world. It can be super subtle, but it's a huge risk for any AI system that learns, so you have to keep an eye on it. This life cycle breaks down into 4 main stages. First, you've got installation qualification, or IQ. That's basically just checking, are all the pieces installed correctly, just like the instructions said? Next is operational qualification, or OQ. This is where you test it in a controlled lab environment to make sure it's behaving like it should. Then comes performance qualification, or PQ. Now we're taking it out into the real world to see if it holds up under real operational pressure. And finally, the step that never ends, continuous monitoring. This is where you're constantly watching for that drift we talked about, ready to jump in and retest if anything looks off. Section 5, why governed AI matters. Okay, so you might be thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. And it is. So why bother? Well, because putting this kind of structure in place completely changes the game. It takes us out of this murky, ambiguous world we're in now and into one where accountability is crystal clear. And that, right there, is the only way we can ever really trust these systems and the only way we can innovate safely. And a huge part of this framework is making it obvious that governance isn't some abstract idea floating around in a PowerPoint slide. It's about people, real named individuals with clear responsibilities. You have roles like a system owner, a quality lead, an operational reviewer. So for every single thing the AI does, from its design to its daily operations, there is a person, a human being, whose job it is to be responsible for it. The buck stops with someone. This is what makes that idea of human in the loop real. It's not just a buzzword. So when does a person actually have to jump in? Well, there are clear triggers. For example, if the AI tries to cross a preset safety guardrail, boom, the operational reviewer is alerted and steps in. If the AI's confidence score on a decision drops below a certain level, the quality lead is flagged to demand a justification. And if it does something totally unexpected, the system owner has the authority to just shut the whole thing down and figure out what went wrong. And look, the whole point of this isn't to slow innovation down. It's actually the opposite. It's about building the confidence to move faster. When you have a structure like this, you're always ready for an audit. You're already aligned with big regulations before they even fully kick in. You've created this safe, accountable launchpad that lets you build and deploy truly powerful AI because you, your customers, and the regulators can actually trust it. There's a quote from the source material that just sums this up perfectly. The whole idea is to establish governance before scale, evidence before audit, and clarity before complexity. It's about getting your house in order before the hurricane hits. It's about being proactive instead of being caught on your back foot trying to clean up a mess. And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? As AI gets more and more powerful, as it weaves its way into everything we do, are frameworks like this just nice to have? Are they optional? Or are they absolutely fundamentally essential if we want to build a future with AI that we can actually trust? It's something we all need to think about.